Okay, so we're now going to move on to another uh, Scottish writer who is called Ian Crichton Smith, and we're gonna begin with one of his short stories. Nat 5, or I believe at higher. I'm not sure if you do it at Nat 5, but at higher anyway. You there's a chance you might study the short stories of Ian Crichton Smith. Um, And anyway, so what we're going to do today, we're going to cover one of them, which is called Mother and Son. And so from the outset, you can tell from the title, okay, a couple of things. One is that obviously the main characters in the story, it's a short story, okay, which means it's a p few pages. It's not a book. It's a short story, means it's a few pages, a story told over um, a short space. Okay, that's the idea of a short story. So, in terms of the story itself, you can tell that the main characters are a mother and her son. Okay, now beyond that basic idea, you can also tell that the story from the title, which is kind of weird, yeah, it's kind of awkward, makes you feel a bit awkward, and that is something which is actually indicative in terms of the story's content. So the story itself is a sort of take on a more classic story, which is a story about sometimes what's called the Oedipal mother or something like that. The idea is that it's a story about a child or a son and mother who have a dysfunctional kind of relationship. Okay, their relationship is sort of dysfunctional. It's like bad. It's bad in some kind of way. All right. So, in any case, this story here is gonna sort of take it's gonna take the reader into the world of this son and his mother, and what it's gonna show, okay, is sort of how she abuses him and how he has been affected, okay, by growing up with this kind of mother um who is essentially torments him and who psychologically messes him up. That's the idea. Okay, and it's a good story. It's very realistic. It's very realistic, and I'll tell you a story, maybe about that in a minute. Okay, anyway, let's get into it. So, the story begins. His clothes were dripping as he came in. The water was streaming down his cheeks, a little reddened by the wind and the rain. He shook back his long hair and threw his jacket on the bedpost, abruptly remembering. He looked through his pockets for a box of matches. Okay, so already we learn a couple things. Okay, just from the opening of the story. One is that he doesn't have an umbrella. It's obviously raining outside. He doesn't have an umbrella, and so he's soaking wet. You can take this as an image. Okay, you can take this metaphorically. In Yes, you can take this metaphorically, and the idea would be that he has no protection from the rain, which is a comparison to he has no protection from his mother's abuse. He has no protection. He's directly exposed to it, and he gets hit by it, and he gets drenched by his mother's abuse. Okay, it's not just like uh, sh she like hits him with a little bit of it, but he gets like drenched, yeah, covered. Um, what's the word? Uh, he's like basically can't escape it yet. It's like the rain. Walk outside when it's raining, try and dodge the rain yet. You can't dodge the rain yet. You're gonna get hit by the rain like that, yeah? So anyway, it's a good indication, okay, that the man's life is not good. It's not good, and he can't, for some reason, he feels like he can't escape it. Okay, he feels like he can't escape it. Okay, another thing it tells you about him, okay, which is going to be continued here, is that in terms of himself, his planning and so on, uh, you can tell that he's kind of immature in his planning, in his the way he behaves, in that he went outside and he didn't think to take an umbrella with him, even though the rain has soaked his clothes. Okay, which means that it's been raining for a while, or it's rained a lot. Yeah, it's like a time of year where it rains. Yeah, so he didn't think to take an umbrella with him. Shows you that he's not mentally or mostly mentally, but he's not like mature yet. He's not taking responsibility in the way that would have made him think to take an umbrella to avoid getting uh hit by the rain. And we're gonna see how that applies later on in terms of how he reacts to his mother's abuse. Okay. Anyway, so it goes on to say the house was in partial darkness, for though the evening was not dark, the daylight was hooded by thick yellow curtains which were drawn across the window. So when he walks into the house is all dark. It's dark, even though it's like daytime, or even though it's evening, but it's not dark evening. It's just, a little bit dark outside. But the house itself is sort of pitch black. Yeah, it's dark, which shows you that he's entering into a dark place. He's entering into a dark place, like he's going into a cave or something. And you know what lives in caves? Yeah, monsters live in caves. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, the way the story is written. So monsters live in caves, and he's going in, and we'll see the monster that lives in this cave in a minute. Okay, the flickering light showed a handsome face. This is his face, and also he's using a match. Okay, I don't know when the story was written, but I'm assuming that lighters were a thing. But he still has matches, which again goes to the idea that uh, maybe, maybe he isn't acting fully like an adult yet, making better choices or whatever, or it could indicate that he doesn't have that much money. Maybe, I don't know. These are just side points, but you get the point what I'm making, overall. Anyway, anyway, okay, the forehead is smooth, so it gives some kind of what's called physiognomy, gives some basic analysis of his face and his head and all that. Okay, it's not a big deal, though it was a face which had something childish about it. Okay, so this part here is quite important. The childishness could be seen by a closer look, a look into the wide blue eyes, which were rather stolid and netted by little red lines which divided them up like a graph. Okay, so basically, the the man, okay, the man is uh he is a man, he's a man, but he has something about him which is childish. So this is what I was talking about, okay, in terms of his lack of maturity, that he's not grown up in some kind of way. So what this is talking about, it's kind of hot, man. What this was talking about, okay, is that the man is he's physically older, okay, like grown up, but he is still emotionally and sort of like psychologically not developed. Okay. Um, he's the type of person today that would be sort of made fun of, being like a mama's boy or something like that. Type person that is acts like a kid, but they're like 35 years old, something like that. Yeah, but he acts like he's 14, something like that. That's kind of what it's talking about. Now, obviously, with that situation, there'd be some kind of comedy inside of it. With this situation, unfortunately, it's like way more tragic and dark. Okay. All right. Anyway, it talks about, so there's the one thing. Okay, so there's childishness about him. Okay, which is talking about his sort of immaturity, and then also little red lines which divided his eyes up. So in his eyes, his eyes are bloodshot. Means he doesn't sleep much. He's stressed out. Also, like one of my students pointed out very nicely, is that it talks about how he is crying a lot, and so his eyes are like red from the crying. Okay, these eyes were deep and unquestioning as a child's, but they gave an unaccountable impression that they could be as dangerous and irresponsible as a child's. And this is going to come into play later on. So basically, what we're going to see, okay, is that the mother, the mother has purposely abused uh, the man, and it's primarily verbal abuse. Okay, it's like attacking him with her words, which is how it works in real life, yeah, pretty much. Although sometimes physical abuse is used too, but most of the time it's verbal abuse when it comes from a woman or from a mother. Especially, I'd say the dark female nature. I'd say the dark feminine, as in when a woman goes bad to the dark side. To I don't mean like Star Wars dark side, but I mean like she starts to engage in hurting people in order to gain something, which is essentially the definition of evil. Um, Hurting people on purpose. Okay, that's essentially the definition of evil. Yes. So anyway, when a woman starts to go that way, okay, dark feminine would be, I'd say, primarily through the use of words. Okay, primarily through use of words because obviously, when it comes to like women in general, she can't physically abuse uh, a man in the same way that a man could physically abuse a woman. When a man goes into dark masculine, usually it's through aggression. Okay, violence, aggression, that kind of thing, hurting people physically, abusing them with his strength and aggressiveness. Okay, anyway, the point here is here. So the mother is like a master of this dark. Excuse me. The mother is a master of this dark feminine, a master of sort of verbal abuse. And what it's led to, okay, is that this man here has developed, okay, as a result of this, along with his innocent type of immaturity. He's not so innocent, okay? He's not so innocent. He also has something dark inside of him, which is brewing up, okay? Which is that he has this now desire inside of him for revenge, okay? And it's like deep down because he's been stepped on and bullied verbally, he hides it inside of him. And we're gonna see this sort of playing out as the story carries on. And yes, okay. Anyway, then I remembered. So he's in the house now, and he's trying to light a lamp because it's all dark. There's no lights on as well. Again, like a cave, huh? Like where the monster lives. Okay, here we go. All right, so he's walking now. He walks into the house. He walks through the house. The dresser was surmounted by numerous shelves which hold dishes. Blah blah blah. Little dog. Okay. Along one corner of the room was a four-poster bed. Four-poster bed, big bed, the one with the what's it called? The posts on each. It was called four-poster. The big fancy bed, yeah, with soiled pillows, dirty pillows, and a coverlet of some dark, rough material. So even the bed is dirty, and the coverlet, the duvet or whatever, is dark. Okay, so now you're gonna see where the monster sleeps. In the bed was a woman. Was a woman, a woman. Okay, now, it's very interesting. Okay, that the way that the writer phrases this in the bed was a woman. You would expect him to say in the bed was his mother, right? But he doesn't say that. He says in the bed was a woman. So what this tells you, okay, is word choice. What this tells you is that their relationship is so destroyed that he does not see her as his mother in terms of that loving kind of bond that normally is between parent and child. He sees her as like almost like a stranger, like he sees her as someone without a name. So woman is a general phrase which doesn't indicate any specific person. It's like a person without a name, which is what you do when you talk about a stranger. I saw a woman yesterday, which indicates you don't know her, and you don't know her name, you don't know anything about her, you're distant from her, uh, and she most likely is not going to connect with you in any way, and you don't have any intention of connecting with her in any way. And you see all of those meanings are captured in this situation because of how destroyed the relationship is. Okay? So, in any case, she was sleeping, her mouth tightly shut, prim and anemic. There was a bitter smile on her face, as if fixed there, just as sometimes you see the insurance man come to the door with the same smile, which never fades away until he's gone into the anonymity of the streets. Okay, so the mother, and obviously this is the monster in the cave, yeah. The mother is the monster in the cave, i.e., she is essentially the villain, the initial villain. She's the main villain in the story. Excuse me. And when she's sleeping, she has a smile on her face, okay, which is the same as he describes it as like a insurance sort of salesman, okay, which is, or an insurance man, okay, which is the person that, uh, let's just say insurance salesman. It's the person basically that comes to try and sell you something which you don't need, or he's gonna try and take money off of you. He's gonna try and scam you in some way. He's gonna try and hurt you in some way for gain, like we said. He's gonna try and trick you into something. He has the ability to use words to get you to do something which will favor him and not favor you. That's the idea. Okay. So and again, this story is very dark. Yeah, it's very dark. It's a great story. It's very dark. So she has the ability, like a salesperson, like a snaky, slimy salesperson. She has used her power with words to manipulate her son into doing the things that she wants, and we'll see what that is. It's essentially turning him into um like a butler for her, like essentially doing everything that she wants, looking after her, and bringing her food and all that, being her like slave essentially, um, doing the things that she wants, and also hurting him at the same time. So doing these things and then abusing him on top, breaking him down so that he never leaves her essentially, so that he'll always be there and he'll never feel confident enough to leave. So using her words to harm him and to benefit herself. Okay, just like the person who tries to sell you something like an insurance policy that you don't need, or sign you into some scam or scheme like that. Okay, something that'll hurt you but benefit them. Okay, yes. And the smile itself, okay, is fake. Okay, in terms of it's not a smile of happiness or love, it's a smile of self-interest. Okay, it's a smile of smiling that I'm about to do something to this person which will hurt them, but I'm gonna benefit from it. It's an evil kind of smile. Okay. The forehead was not very high, not low. Again, some physiognomy. Though its wrinkles give an expression of concentration, if the women were wrestling with some, this, these words almost give me like goosebumps. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, the women were wrestling with some terrible witch's ideas and dreams. It's so good. Yeah. So, and I don't just mean the way it's written in terms of how it sounds. What I mean is the ideas which are captured inside this are extremely deep. Okay, the ideas are extremely deep, and again, what he's saying here, okay, is that while she's sleeping, the mother, while she's sleeping, she is wrestling, okay, meaning she's struggling, she's thinking, she's chewing on some evil idea. Okay, so a witch, again, is a representation of the dark feminine, and not dark like Koya. Like I'm a bad girl, some yeah. I'm a bad girl, Koya, or not like that yet. Dark as in actually dark, like evil yet, like dark, dark. Like excuse me, like kidnap your kids type dark, yeah, like that, like evil dark. So the witch in classic literature and classic um, spirituality, even, or let's just not say spirituality, but the witch in sort of classic, let's say literature. When I say spirituality, I mean as in like classic, like myth or that kind of thing. The witch is representative of the dark, the evil woman, the evil feminine. So again, referring to the mother in this way, it shows that in her mind, even when she's sleeping, she's thinking of evil ideas. Okay, she's thinking of evil ideas, even when she's sleeping in her dark cave, yeah, in her dark room. She's thinking, and who are these evil ideas for? They're for her son. Okay, she's thinking about evil ideas that she can enact on her son. Okay, very dark, very dark. Okay, and also, if you notice the way it's written, it says as if the woman, again, she still has no title of mother, and it says with some terrible witchy's ideas, which in a sense, shows that the ideas, okay, are so evil or so dark that it's almost as if she's in communication with something beyond herself. Okay, it's almost you feeling scared now as well. Don't be scared yet. Don't trip yet. Your sensei is with you yet. Don't be scared, man. But yeah, so it's almost as if she's wrestling, okay, with something dark, some dark force beyond herself, which is sort of like sharing these ideas with her, okay, from beyond herself. Some more evil than herself, and she's like learning from it. She's wrestling with it. She's interacting with it. Very dark, yeah. Okay, anyway, so it goes on to say the man looked at her for a moment, then fumbled for his matches again. Okay, again, not her son looked at her, not at his mother and so on, but again, strangers, huh? Began to light a fire. The sticks fell out of place, and he cursed vindictively and helplessly. So even this, okay, tells you a lot about his personality based on the, what's happened to him based on the relationship, okay? Which is that he's been so broken down by her that he's now essentially composed of two halves, or he's composed of two main things, okay? One side of him is like the helpless, scared child. So one side of him is composed of fear, okay, primarily fear. He's like the child who's afraid of the witch in the dark, literally, okay, which is his mother. Fear. And on the other side, okay, because he is a man, he's not a child, he has deep hatred and anger, okay? And this hatred and anger is like the man who wants to kill the witch, who is trying to hurt him in some way. You see? So the man has fear and deep anger. Fear and deep anger. You see, cursed vindictively, okay, it means with the feeling of I'm gonna get revenge, I'm gonna hurt someone, but helplessly, which is that I'm scared. What if I get hurt? Now I'll tell you something quickly, and then we'll sort of get through the story. I'll go a bit faster. Though I think, to be honest with you, this maybe I shouldn't go faster yet. I think it's quite good. Yeah, this is good. I think this is a very good. The story here, I'd say, is one of the best illustrations I've seen of this kind of like real life situation. And I'll tell you something crazy. When I was teaching uh, some years ago, um one student, which I only taught for a week or two, uh one student, I saw this situation in them, and basically I was teaching online, so I switched on the Zoom, and on the Zoom was the student, and next to him was his mother. Okay. And I could see in the student's face. Now I'm not saying she was witch or she's evil or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But in terms of the student, I saw in his face the rage. Okay, the rage, because essentially the mother was sitting next to him, and she was sort of, it was like I was teaching both of them almost. She was like controlling him. She was controlling him. She had her sort of hands on him, not literally, but she had her hands on him, and she was basically um still treating him as if he was a small child. Okay, but the kid was like 16. So I could see in his face the anger. Okay, he had a lot of anger, but at the same time, the anger was masked. Okay, like the anger would flash out, but then it would get masked again by this sort of like weak kind of um obedience, I guess you could say. I saw it there, yeah, I saw it there. And so I just stopped. I stopped the And I actually stopped the lessons, not because of that specifically, although that was like part of it. I stopped because the anger would sort of like flash out. The anger would kind of flash out. And obviously if you're gonna learn from me, yeah, then come on. Come on, you can't be disrespecting the Donya. But in any case, I'd say that there, okay, and if you're watching, kid, listen, man, it's time to step up. Step up and become your own man. Yeah, that's the game. Yeah. But the point is, okay, that um you can see this here in real life. Yeah, when a person, especially a man, when a man is still under the control of his mom, okay, when he is afraid of her, as opposed to having a sort of loving relationship when he's afraid of her, and she uses that to some extent to control him, even when he's a man, then what you see, okay, is that when it's a kid, the way that results is like the kid is respectful and stuff. Yeah, he doesn't disrespect people. When you're a man, then what this turns into is not respect and, you know, good manners or whatever. It turns into anger and hatred. Okay, because you understand that it's unnatural. There's something wrong going on here, which is what the original sort of Oedipal story connects to, the idea of an unnatural relationship. So the idea is that you're a man and therefore you should not fear your mother. Yeah, that's weird. You shouldn't fear your mother. You should respect her and all that, but you shouldn't fear her. Okay, that's weird. You should be independent, okay, to some extent. Not that you should be disconnected, but the point is that you shouldn't see your mother like your boss or something like that. Yeah, that's strange. And anyway, it leads to anger and so on like that. Yeah, deep anger, hatred. Okay, anyway, let's get back to this quickly. So, for a moment, he sat squatting on his haunches, staring into the fire as he was thinking of some state of innocence. Again, he wants to be like a kid again, which he could not return to. Reminiscent, blah, blah, blah. His eyes became still and dangerous, see, flicking between anger, rage, and fear. Okay, this clock struck 5 wheezingly. Even the clock's tired of listening to the mother talk. And at the first time, the woman woke up. Okay, so she's up quick. Time for action. Okay, she stared. She started as she saw the figure crouched over the fire and then subsided. So she got shocked for a minute, but then she calmed down and she says, this is her first words in the text. It's only you. It's only you. You see, as soon as she wakes up, she hurts him. She hits him with some kind of verbal abuse. It's only you. So it's only you means she belittles him, she degrades him, and that you say this kind of thing. It's only you means you're nothing. Okay, I think you're nothing. Yeah, it's only you. So she doesn't even say his name. She doesn't say anything like loving. She doesn't say hello. She says it's only you. So it tells you what she thinks of him. She thinks nothing of him. Huh? She thinks that he is nothing, basically. Okay, there was relief in the voice, but a curious hint of contempt, again, hatred or acceptance. Hatred or acceptance. He still sat staring into fire, and look at how he responds. He answered dully, yes, it's only me. Yes, it's only me. He couldn't be said to speak the words. They fell away from him, as sometimes happens when one is in a deep reverie, where every question is met by its answer almost instinctively. So basically what's happened, okay, is that she's abused him for so long, verbally, that he's gotten to the point where the responses have been trained in him. Okay, have been trained in him. So she said this to him so many times that now he replies with the answer without any fight. You know, fight, yeah, no argument, no nothing. He's just sort of completely given up. And what you could say here, okay, is that when I said before that the mother is the villain, the main villain, that the or that she's in the wrong in the main, that she's like the main monster in the text. So I said the main because the son is also to some extent culpable, huh? He's also guilty to some extent in terms of what's happening, in terms of his own situation. He's guilty to some extent, okay, because he has accepted his situation and he has given up trying to change anything. He's accepted it. Why has he accepted it? Because of his fear and his refusal to engage with his fear, his refusal to deal with his fear, his cowardice. It's a better word. So his lack of courage, that's a better word. So because of his lack of courage, because of his cowardice, his refusal to engage with reality, his deception, his lies to himself, the words he speaks, which he doesn't believe, his lack of virtue, basically, sum it up. Uh, because of all these things, he has entrapped himself in the situation that he's in. So he, and remember, look at the reality of the situation. He's a man, she's an old woman. If he wanted to, okay, he could leave very easily. She could do nothing to stop him. Nothing to stop him. So, and you'll see this, okay, you'll see this in the actual, in real life as well, that the relationship is one which is like codependent in some way, yeah? It's like, it's not just one of abuse where she's trapping him in the house or something. The reason abuse is so effective, or the reason abuse is so difficult to deal with, okay, overcome, is that abuse develops some kind of, you could say, codependency, something like that, okay, which is that the abuser gets something out of this relationship. They get to abuse the person, and the abused also, to some extent, gets something out of the relationship, okay? Whether it's the feeling of, oh, they abuse me, but they'll protect me. Like a lot of women, they sort of have this kind of idea that I'll be with this abusive man because he's dangerous and big and scary, so he might slap me in the face time to time, but if someone else tries to slap me, then he'll hurt them badly like that. Yeah, terrible idea. Terrible way of thinking, yeah. Stupid way of thinking, yeah. If anyone touches you, yeah, what the heck? Leave you, what the heck? Or reverse it with a man whose wife or girl or whatever is abusive to him, and he thinks, uh, well, she abuses me, she calls me these names, she makes me feel terrible about myself. I hate myself, and I feel like nothing when I'm around her. But at least I have her, yeah. At least I have her, like that, and she's here, even if she hates me. At least she's here, yeah. And without her, I'll have no one yet. No one would love someone like me yet. Again, bro, wake up, wake up. Don't be stupid yet. Wake up. Uh, there's 3 billion women in the world yet. Wake up, bro. Stop. So, in any case, you see the point. Okay, you see the point. This is why abuse is very difficult and tricky. Yeah, it's because it's like codependent. Yeah, it's like yes. So yes, and yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's what I'm thinking about basically just here is that in a way it's kind of it's interesting in that you have to think about, am I possibly abusing someone in some way? And they're not telling me that I'm abusing them because to some extent they're gaining something from the relationship. You have to think about that. Um, yes. I'm thinking about it for myself because I'm in a position uh of um so obviously because I'm an expert with language and stuff like that, um, I have to be especially more careful. I need to be it'd be very easy for me to manipulate someone and that kind of stuff, yeah. But um yeah. I would never try to do that on purpose, yeah. But in any case, it's good that you always want to be reflective and try and do better, yeah. Excuse me, try and do better, yeah. Yes. To live to live with the intention of not hurting anyone on purpose, that's a very good way of living. Okay, anyway. Well, what's the matter with you? She snapped pettishly, sitting there moping with tea. So you see here comes the abuse. Moping with the tea to be made. uh, Entitled, make me tea. I sometimes don't know why we christened you John. Look at this, yeah, she's attacking him very badly. My father was never like you. He was a man who knew his business. So look at this. Everything she said has been abusive. Okay. All right, he said despairingly. Can't you get a new record for your gramophone? Heard all that before. Okay, so she abuses him, she abuses him, she abuses him. The way he reacts is to crack a joke. Is to crack a joke. And again, you'll see this. What this is, joking or comedy, is a way of avoiding confrontation, essentially. It's a way of not engaging with the reality of the situation. It's a form of deception, lying. He can joke, he can make light of the situation, and therefore he doesn't need to admit to himself how terrible the situation actually is. Okay, it's very common. Um, It's very common, yeah. The truth is extremely difficult at times, but the truth at least will set you free, yeah. Like like I said in the good book, yeah. It will set you free. Yeah. Okay, anyway, I can't understand what's come over you lately. You keep moaning about the house, pacing up and down with your hands. This is the mother talking, by the way, it's not the son. Okay, so she's still making fun of him. Okay, then she says to him, "You're going to be taken to the asylum." So essentially her tactics are to make him feel very bad about himself. And this is a very common abusive tactic. One tip I can give you, I say this to my students here, especially the ones that I notice that they have some issues with self-esteem, or I see that they have issues with confidence, lack of self-belief. If someone makes you feel bad about yourself, makes you question your self-esteem, that kind of thing, if they put you down in ways which make you become hesitant about your opinions or hesitant about your decisions, they make you feel like you're off balance, like this, you don't know what to do, and like that, you start to feel like that. Okay, that's when you need to exit the situation because that is essentially the first stage of falling into an abusive situation. Okay, and why is that? Why do they do this? Like she's doing to him. She says to him, "You're going to be put in an asylum," meaning you're not mentally stable, so you can't make your own decisions and so on. Why do they makes fun of him in terms of how he's uh, calling him lazy and so on? Why do they do this? Okay, they do this because if you feel like you're unbalanced and you're not able, you doubt your decisions, you're extra critical on yourself, you think that you're not a good person, you think that you're not worth much, so on. They break you down in this way. This is also done by pimps. They do this, yeah. It's what pimps do when they um first sort of find a woman that they're gonna pimp. Essentially, what they do is they break her down. Okay, and why do they do that? And I'd say women do this when they find a man that maybe he has like a lot of money or something like that, and so now they want control over him. In any case, it's what abusive people do, okay, to gain control. Why do they do it? They do it because if you feel that you can't make your own decisions, if you feel like you are, are need to be extra self-critical and you're not worth much, then what it does is it makes you dependent, makes you dependent, okay, because then you start to naturally ask for confirmation and validation from the other person. Is this the right thing to do? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I talk to this person? Should I go here? Should I go there? Like that, okay? And you eventually get to the point where you no longer feel confident in making any of your own decisions, and you might feel like something's wrong, but you don't know how to change it because you become used to being dependent on this person. So, which is a very bad situation to be in. Okay. And also, the other thing, the reason it's like a double-headed dragon, okay, is that once you become dependent on this person for their uh, validation and for their instruction, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And bear in mind, I'm not talking about, there's something else, which is like what many people find attractive. I'd say generally women find this attractive, but people, sometimes men find this attractive too, which is sort of like a person who's like a leader, who's like a strong leader, who's confident in themselves, and they can take charge and be like, okay, we're gonna do this today, we're gonna do that today, da, ba, ba, ba. I'm not talking about that yet because that involves consent, yeah, which is like basically it's never breaking the other person down. It's more just like, here's the plan. Would you like to come along? Yeah, like that. Any case, I'm not talking about that yet. I'm talking about breaking a person down on purpose so that they become dependent on you and you gain control over them. It's completely different. The reason it's a double-headed dragon, okay, is because when the person is broken down in that way, they also begin to feel that no one else would accept them or like them. You understand? They also begin to feel that no one else will. like them or accept them. Why would they? The person I love tells me I'm ugly every day. Huh? And so he knows me best or she knows me best. And they tell me what to do. They guide me in life. And they tell me I'm ugly, then that I'm not worth much. And so obviously no one else will take me if I leave. And so I'll stay. Makes sense. That's why people get trapped. So people say, she was abusing you, why you not just leave? Or he was abusing you, why you not just leave? Well, it's not that easy, bro. Yeah, it's not that easy. Even though before I sort of, criticized this guy and made fun of him and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, it is that easy, really. You walk out the door, yeah, it is that easy. But I mean, psychologically, there's a lot of things that hold you back. Gravity, which pushes you down, and there's a lot of weight, which makes it more difficult than just simply like, oh, I'd like to leave the house today. Yeah, even though it technically is really that easy, you have to make a decision. Yeah, but in any case, in any case, yes, in any case, if you find yourself in any kind of situation like that, the first thing is just to recognize, okay, that you need to be honest with yourself. Yeah, that's the key. I've been in many situations in my life, many, 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 many difficult situations. I'm almost many difficult situations in life, where I've been completely lost. And what I found, okay, is that the only thing really that you need to do in those situations, no matter how dark and hard they are, is you need to commit to the truth. You need to commit to the truth. The truth is the mother of all virtues, as our ancients used to say. Truth is the mother of all virtues. Okay, so if you commit to the truth, being honest with yourself, and then you can be like, okay, this is actually a bad situation I'm in, and I need to change it. Yeah. But if you just lie to yourself, if you're not honest, then you're gonna stay stuck. It's a combination of lying and fear, which basically keeps people stuck. Okay, anyway, it goes on to say, uh, okay, excuse me, going to say, he pottered about. Okay, so he's making food. Basically, he's making a kettle. Sometimes at rare, he's trying to ignore it. Sometimes a chatter was round and burst venomously towards him. Had no meaning for him. Could not touch him. So he's trying to ignore her again. Avoidance, avoidance. He tried comedy before. Didn't do anything. Now he's trying avoidance. He's trying to ignore her. Pretend she's not there. Pretend he's shutting her his eyes. Pretend the witch is not in the house, even though she's in the bed. She's there making fun of you. The witch is there, yeah. So she's there, yeah. Don't lie about it. Okay, most often they stung him, stood quivering in his flesh. It's a very good metaphor right here. And basically, her words, when they hit him, they inject little bits of poison inside into him. Little bits of poison. Which is, in a sense, it's almost worse than just a big bit of poison, which will kill you. It's like little bits of poison, so you feel the pain, yeah. You feel the pain again and again and again, like that. Okay, so she's still at it. Have you stacked the sheaves now? She asked him a question. Yes, he said joyously, I've stacked them all and I've done it all alone too. They haven't gone. So basically, she asked him a question. She asked him a question related to his work. He gets extremely excited. And you can see here the childish, you feel bad for the guy. You see here the childish desire to impress your parents. In other words, the childish desire to have your parent be proud of you. So he gets excited, yeah, when she asks him because he was able to do it. Um, but he doesn't seem to have much use for me now. He's gone the way the rest of the boys go. They all take a job, then they get together and laugh at me. But even in his story, excuse me, even in his story that he has that he's proud of to some extent, still, uh, still you see now that the bullying has extended. Not it doesn't stop with his mom, but the bullying has extended also to other people, and obviously this makes sense because the way you are with the way you are with say your like one group people will spill out in terms of how you are with other people. Okay. What I mean is basically what I mean is if you're afraid of confrontation and afraid of the judgment of other people because you've been bullied by your mother, for example, like in this guy, and so you carry yourself in a way which is like you have the look of a victim, you have the look and the behavior of someone who poses no ability to defend themselves, then that energy will carry itself no matter what situation you're in. So people that are bullied at home, if they don't become hyper aggressive bullies themselves, become victims in other places. Does it make sense? That's why. The key obviously is just to change this is to change your beliefs. And again, it's a process, okay, but the first step of the process is just to recognize that something is wrong here. That's the first step. And then everything after that is just a case of working out, okay, what can I change one thing at a time? Okay. Anyway, look, his weakness was pitiful, his childish eyes, so even just the mention of some people making fun of him almost makes him cry. Yeah, that's how messed up he is in terms of his how much trauma, pain, and all of that he's feeling. Yeah, the pressure. He's at his tipping point. Okay, okay. Into grimace, which is sought to taut on his face, put on a murderous determination. He's trying to look tough. Lines of his face were hard. The eyes had no steadiness, and so on. Okay, basically, he's trying to look like he's tough, but he can't. He has no he has no ability to. He's not actually tough yet. That's the idea. He's um he's given up. He's given up. Okay. Anyway, of course, Roddy doesn't want to help you, so she chimes in with her, her lovely words. He's got enough to do as it is. Anyway, he's got his work to do, and you haven't. Just mean, yeah, mean, mean, mean. You see, yeah, you see, it's like everything she says is aimed at. Everything she says is aimed at making him feel smaller, making him feel smaller. Everything she says is aimed at decreasing his confidence in himself, his esteem in himself. And you want to stay away from these kind of people. Yeah, if you have people like this, see, there's some people who do this, and this is their version of like comedy. Yeah. They do it like I would very much recommend to you, yeah, all my students, don't do this. Yeah, it's stupid. I recommend that you don't talk to people in this way, or at least don't make it your main way of talking. Yeah, there's a form of this which is like I guess banter or something it's called, which is funny time to time. Yeah, but when someone makes this their primary way of talking or joking around, you want to avoid that kind of person. Yeah, it's not good because it's that's why you call it toxic. Yeah, it's not good. It's like making fun of a person in a way which is actually going to decrease how they see themselves. Yeah, mess up their self-image in some way, which is not the same as like making fun of something someone said in a way which is not actually hurtful or something. Um, Anyway, you see, okay, everything she says is made to make him feel smaller, make him more dependent on her, make him more scared, less likely to leave the house, to leave her and her dirty house. Yeah, to stay. Okay, anyway, so you see here how he's dependent on her. That he says, "Do you want me to take a job? I'll take a job tomorrow if you only say." So you can see that maybe he wasn't even working. He was just doing something else, yeah, work experience, something. I'm not exactly sure. In any case, you see that he wants her now to give him direction. Do you see exactly what I was talking about before? Which is that he's so dependent on her opinions, on her judgments, that he almost no. The only way he'll leave is if she tells him to leave, which she'll never do yet because she's turned him into a slave. So she'll never say, "Oh yeah, you should leave, by the way," right? So he wants her permission. He needs her permission. In his mind, he feels like he needs her permission, because he's not confident in his own decision making. Okay. Again, different from the, say, healthy kind of relationship where one person takes charge and the other person acts more like an assistant or like following along or something. Because in the healthy relationship, both people can leave anytime they want yet. There's no like force. The door is open yet. That's the point. Consent means you can do it or not do it. It's up to you, yeah. That's the idea. Because every individual is a free individual. Yeah. You're born free. Yeah. You're not born a slave. Anyway, we're going deep on this one. Okay, anyway, let's quickly get to the end of this. All right, good. So, all right, so she breaks him down again after that. Boom, boom, boom. Time and again. I'm gonna get a job. Where the fellas are. With the unfathomable, unknowing cunning of the woman, she would strike his confidence dead. Do you see? Anything he says, any dream he has, she strikes it down. He admitted it to himself. He hated himself for it. You see, he's a self-hatred, yeah. Self-hatred. This is what happens. You're a man. You will develop this rage. Okay, the rage. Watching him. See? Cowardice, like I said. His primary vice, his primary sin is the one of, I'd say, deception, one, and cowardice, two. Lack of courage. Not facing his fears, basically. Why should anybody laugh at me? They don't laugh at the other chaps. Everyone makes mistakes. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's just quickly go to the end. Alright, so he makes a cup of tea and then he gives it to her and screams at him a bit more and abuses him a bit more. He thinks of things to say to her, but he doesn't say them. He's scared. Blah, blah, blah. Da, 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 da. Her mouth is open. Da, 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 da. He found himself considering if she was some kind of animal. Again, he hates her. How can this thing make my life a hell for me? Because you have allowed her to. That's why, my brother. Because you allowed her to. She's been ill for 10 years. Okay, final note on this, and then we'll finish off. So, final note, another thing which abusive people do. So I'm teaching you all this stuff here, so you can learn, yes. It's like defense against dark arts here. You call me Mr. Snape. Um, what abusive people do often, okay, is as a way of camouflaging their abuse, they will often make themselves out to be a victim or portray themselves to be worthy of pity in some way. So like a camouflage, like a snake's like a snake skin that blends in and you can't see it properly. If they are a victim, what the reason they do this, okay, is because if you feel sorry for them to some extent, you're less likely to accuse them of being an abuser. That makes sense. So oftentimes, an abuser will have stories of why you should feel sorry for them, how they've been victimized in some way. Like she's been ill for 10 years. So really she hasn't been ill yet for 10 years, but she plays up her illness so that he'll feel like I must stay with her because she's ill. How could I leave her? I feel bad if I left her, that kind of thing. So if you feel, God forbid, that you're in this situation and the other person has some kind of thing where you think, well, I can't leave because they have X, or I feel bad about this or that. What you should keep in mind, okay, is that very often the abusive person will play up these things of why you should feel sorry for them as a smokescreen, as a camouflage um, of of why they are justified in abusing you. I meant I have bipolar, yeah. That's why I make you feel terrible about yourself. Or excuse me. I have anger issues. That's why I smacked you yesterday. Because I was bullied as a kid. Are you gonna hold it against me? Don't you feel bad for me? I got bullied as a kid, and so you triggered me, and then I hit you. Uh, so really, it's your fault. See? No, no, no. It's not. It's not. Not acceptable yet. No. A good person who's not an abuser, an actual good person, they don't burden you with the things that they are burdened with. Understand? An actually good person protects you from the damaged parts of themselves. That's what makes them good to some extent. So, an actually good person would encourage you to leave if it's in your best interest, despite whatever they might be going through. Okay? So that's how you know, okay, if someone's actually good or not. One, how do they make you feel about yourself? Okay, do they break you down and make you feel like you can't make your own decisions? Do they make you feel bad or make you feel stupid, make you feel um, ugly, uh, weak, like no one likes you? Do they isolate you in different ways? Um, if yes to any of those, it's time to go. And then two, do they when you think about leaving or talk to them about leaving, ending things, moving away from them, not talking to them, do they react by making you feel bad for them? Okay, telling you a sad story, making you feel bad about yourself for thinking this way, making you feel like you're a bad person who's gonna hurt them in some way, making you feel like the abuser. Again, if all that's true or any of that's true, time to go. Time to go. Okay? It's not acceptable, for any of you, for any of my students to be in this situation. Not acceptable. All right? No, 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 no. You were born free. Do not allow yourself to be made into a slave. Born free. Do not allow yourself to be made into a slave. Okay? Someone else's problems are their problems. It's their problems. It's not your problems to solve, yeah. And you can't solve anyone's problems for them anyway. People have to solve their own problems. The only thing you can do is try and help if they're open to it. But again, that's not an excuse for allowing yourself to be abused. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's the sort of heart of the poem. Okay, he gets into thinking about hurting her as a revenge. Okay. Um, his mind was in a turmoil of hate. He wanted to smash the cup, smash the furniture. His hands clenched. He would show her. He walks over to her bed, so he thinks about punching her in the face, but he doesn't. He doesn't. Okay, he just walks out. Excuse me. So essentially, a poem about. It's a very good poem. Yeah, if you want to understand abuse and you want to understand, um, if you want to understand, especially manipulation and like how someone can be abused, like verbally. It's a really good poem, yeah. Especially if you want to understand like dysfunctional relationships between a parent and child, mother and son. It's a great story to read and reflect on. Um, so anyway, that's a story, okay? That's a story. That's the breakdown of it. And who's gonna abuse me? Catch it right hand. No, I'm joking. The point of this story, it's really the point of it really is that um abuse isn't just physical. Yeah. Abuse can occur verbally through words via the breaking down of a person and making them, feel small and so on. Yeah. So again, remember, if anything I've said here in this lecture today, if you feel any of it is true about you and your situation, about your life, It's time to start being honest with yourself. Okay, stop lying to yourself. Stop taking part in your own abuse. Okay, it's not acceptable. Yeah, it's not acceptable. So, and if that is the case, you can get help. Yeah, there's people that can help you, definitely. Okay, there's many different resources for you to get help. And um, again, like I said, yeah, remember that each of us is born with infinite value. Okay, value beyond words, value beyond what can be described, and each of us is born free. Free. We're all born free. Okay. There is no natural authority of one person over another person. It's not real. So, and there is no natural sub subservience or like there is no natural obedience to anyone. Understand? You have no superior naturally. Only voluntarily if you desire, but not any natural superior. Okay? So anyway, just keep that in mind and just drop a comment if you have any questions. You know I'm here for you, especially any of my students that are watching. And I guess if you're watching, I consider you my student. Um, don't allow yourself, don't participate in your own destruction. Don't lie to yourself. Okay. Don't accept cowardice. Be brave. And that's it. Live a good life like that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, see you soon.